A kissing bug can bite you while you sleep, take a blood meal, and leave before you wake up. The bite may fade like nothing happened, but if the insect carries the parasite behind Chagas disease, the real damage can begin silently. Years later, sometimes 10 to 20 years later, people can develop heart or digestive problems without ever connecting them to one night, one bite, and one bug that scientists now keep finding farther north. A kissing bug is not one insect, but a group of blood-feeding insects called triatomine bugs. They are found across much of the Americas, and some species can carry a microscopic parasite called Trypanosoma cruzi, the organism that causes Chagas disease. These bugs are built for stealth. At night they leave cracks, nests, woodpiles, or animal shelters and search for warm-blooded hosts. They can feed on dogs, rodents, wildlife, livestock, and humans. Like mosquitoes, they are guided by signals a sleeping body gives off, including body heat, exposed skin, and carbon dioxide from breathing. That is where the name comes from. When a person is asleep, the face is often uncovered, easy to reach and close to the breath the insect is following. The bug may bite near the lips, eyes, or cheeks, take its blood meal and crawl away. It is not being romantic. It is using the most accessible skin on an unconscious host. The disturbing part is what happens next. In many cases, the parasite is not injected during the bite. The danger often comes from the bug's waste, left near the wound or on nearby skin. The bite itself is usually not the delivery system. A kissing bug pierces the skin with a thin feeding tube, draws blood, and can stay attached long enough to fill its body. Then, during or shortly after feeding, it may defecate on the skin near the bite. That is where Trypanosoma cruzi becomes a threat. The parasite can live in the bug's feces. If that contaminated waste is scratched into the bite wound, rubbed into the eye, smeared into the mouth, or pushed through broken skin, it can enter the body. This makes kissing bugs very different from mosquitoes or ticks. Those insects often transmit germs while they are feeding, through saliva or direct contact with blood. With kissing bugs, the dangerous moment may come after the insect has already finished feeding, when the person is still asleep and later rubs an itchy spot or touches their face. Not every bite leads to infection. Many bugs are not carrying the parasite, and even infected bugs do not always leave feces in the right place at the right time. That uncertainty makes the danger easy to underestimate. The disease can begin quietly, with mild symptoms or none at all, and then hide for years before serious heart or digestive problems appear. Once Trypanosoma cruzi enters the body, the first stage is called the acute phase. It can bring fever, tiredness, body aches, swollen lymph nodes, or swelling near the eye if the parasite entered there. But in many people, the early infection is so mild that it looks like an ordinary illness, or it produces no noticeable symptoms at all. That is what makes Chagas disease so difficult to catch early. A person may never connect a brief fever, a swollen eyelid, or a few days of fatigue to an insect bite that happened while they were sleeping. Without testing, the parasite can remain in the body after the acute phase ends. Then comes the chronic phase. This stage can last for years or even a lifetime, with no obvious warning signs. Someone can feel healthy, go to work, raise a family, and never know that the infection is still present. For many infected people, the disease never causes severe damage, but about 20% to 30% later develop serious complications, sometimes 10, 20, or even more years after the original infection. The most dangerous effects often involve the heart. Chagas disease can cause abnormal heart rhythms, an enlarged heart, heart failure, cardiac arrest, or stroke. In other cases, it attacks the digestive system, leading to an enlarged esophagus or megacolon, where parts of the digestive tract become stretched and unable to work normally. So the frightening part is not just the bite, it is the long silence afterward. The geography of this story is changing. For decades, many Americans heard about Chagas disease as something tied to Latin America, or at most, to the hottest parts of the southern United States. But surveillance records have now reported triatomine bugs in 32 states. That does not mean every one of those states has the same level of risk. It does not mean the bugs are suddenly pouring across the continent in a single wave. What it does mean is that the map people once had in their heads is too small. Reports stretch from familiar areas like Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico into places farther north and east. Some records come from insects found in homes. Others come from outdoor collections, wildlife studies, or public submissions sent to researchers after someone recognized the bug. This is why the maps can be tricky to read. A new dot on a surveillance map may show a new arrival. It may also show that someone finally looked carefully enough, or that better reporting systems made an old presence visible. Scientists are looking at several possible contributors. Warmer conditions could help some populations survive in places that were once less suitable. Land use changes can bring people, pets, wildlife, and insects into closer contact. Wild animals can carry the parasite. Dogs can be bitten or transported between regions. Housing patterns can create new opportunities for insects to enter human spaces. none of those explanations by itself solves the mystery. The maps are moving north, but the meaning of that movement is still unsettled. Are kissing bugs truly expanding their range, or are we finally seeing the full shape of a problem that was already here? Human cases make the story harder to dismiss. A locally acquired infection, also called an autochthonous infection, means the person was infected without traveling to a country where Chagas disease is traditionally common. In other words, the exposure happened here. Those cases have already been reported in the United States. Researchers have identified locally acquired human infections in states including Texas, California, Arizona, Tennessee, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, and Arkansas. National numbers are not huge, but they are important. From 2000 through 2018, at least 29 confirmed and 47 suspected locally acquired cases were reported in the United States. That count does not include every possible missed infection, because Chagas can stay quiet for years, and many people are never tested. Texas is the clearest warning sign. From 2013 through 2023, the state recorded 50 probable or confirmed locally acquired cases. Texas also has active kissing bug populations, infected wildlife, infected dogs, and more attention from researchers, which makes it one of the best places to see the pattern. That also creates a problem. Stronger surveillance can make one state look more dangerous, simply because it is looking harder. A state with fewer reports may have fewer infections, or it may have fewer doctors ordering the right tests, fewer insects being submitted, and fewer systems connecting the dots. So the confirmed cases are not proof of a nationwide crisis. They are proof of something more specific. Local transmission is already happening, and the official numbers may be only the visible part. To understand where the parasite is moving, researchers often look at dogs. Dogs sleep near people, roam through yards, investigate insects, and get bitten by the same kissing bugs that may enter human spaces. That makes them sentinel animals, living early warning systems for where Trypanosoma cruzi is circulating. Infections have been found in dogs in at least 23 states. In parts of Texas, studies of some kennels have found especially high infection rates, showing that exposure is not limited to isolated rural homes. Working dogs, hunting dogs, and dogs housed outdoors can face repeated contact with infected bugs. But dogs are only one piece of the reservoir. The parasite also survives in wildlife, including raccoons, opossums, rodents, armadillos, skunks, and other mammals. Kissing bugs feed on these animals, pick up the parasite, and keep the cycle going outside human control. That is why Chagas disease cannot be treated like a simple household pest problem. Spraying one home may reduce insects there, but it does not remove infected wildlife from forests, fields, sheds, woodpiles, or animal burrows. The parasite has a landscape, not just an address. This is where the mystery gets harder, because the map may be changing for more than one reason at the same time. Warmer temperatures can make northern areas more suitable for kissing bugs. A longer warm season may help insects survive, reproduce, and remain active in places that used to be too cold for them. Climate models often point in that direction, especially along the edges of their known range. But a bigger map is not always the same thing as a bigger invasion. More people are recognizing these insects, more health departments are collecting reports, and more researchers are asking the public to submit photos and specimens. A bug that once would have been crushed and forgotten may now become a data point. Human development adds another layer. As neighborhoods, ranches, cabins, and roads push into wildland edges, people and pets spend more time near the animals that kissing bugs feed on. Porches, kennels, woodpiles, sheds, and outdoor lights can create meeting points between insects, wildlife, dogs, and humans. Even the language scientists use is unsettled. Some sources describe the United States as non-endemic for Chagas disease. Others argue it is endemic because local transmission does happen. Some prefer hypoendemic, meaning transmission exists but at relatively low levels. That disagreement matters. Public health agencies must decide what to monitor, what to test for, and what to warn people about while the true range is still being filled in. The northward pattern is real enough to take seriously, but it is not explained by one clean cause. It is climate, land use, surveillance, wildlife, and uncertainty all overlapping on the same incomplete map. Kissing bugs are not a reason to panic, but they are a reason to pay attention. If you find one, do not crush it with bare hands. Photograph it, save it safely if you can, and contact a local health department or extension service. Protect sleeping areas, check pet spaces, and learn what the insect actually looks like. The real danger is a quiet infection that can be missed for years. Thanks for watching. Comment with where you are watching from, and subscribe for more science-based investigations.